When you're ready to swatch foundations, the jawline is the best location or area to do just that because it's the midway between the neck and the face. You want both to match anyway in color, so it's a really good zone to kind of compare the swatch to the skin below and the skin above. Avoid swatching around the cheek area because we're all rosy around our cheeks. So how do you go about pulling out the foundations that you want to swatch? How do you make that decision? Quick and swift. And it's a three-step methodology. First of all, look at your customers or model's skin tone and undertone and try to figure out what they are. Number two, look at the value of their skin tone. So the value refers again on a scale of light to dark, so light, medium, dark, deep dark, and so on. So kind of estimate, is she a medium or is he a medium, and so on. So that's your second bit of information that you kind of want to make a judgment on. Third, what you do is literally just pull the products that are the closest match to that skin tone and undertone. You're probably going to pull 2 shades or sometimes even 3 shades, and that's okay. Make sure though not to decide on which shade it's going to be until you actually swatch on the skin, because that's the only way you can check, especially if you're swatching liquid foundations. They're infamous for oxidizing and turning half a shade, sometimes even 1 shade darker. So hold off your decision until the swatches are on the jawline. When you're actually swatching on the skin, make sure there's plenty of product on the skin. You don't want like a dab or a wash of that foundation. You actually want an opaque, full-on swatch on the jawline. And don't rub it down with your finger or a sponge or a Q-tip or whatever, because if you rub it down, you're going to blend it in. So all you want to do is keep it raw as is, and then swatch the next shade right next to it, and so on. Step back, and one of those shades are going actually to blend in and melt into the skin seamlessly, as if it's real skin. And that's your shade, that's the one. Sometimes you'll have 2 shades that are kind of like a very, very, very close competition between 2 shades. What you do then is literally dim your eyes, allowing less light to come through your eyes. That way you can pick up on the smallest minute differences between the 2 shades. And that's how you swatch. A lot of times the concealer doesn't even match the foundation. So let's say you have a cooler foundation, you'll find that the concealer is actually warmer and a little bit darker. And that's okay, because the way you assess concealer is different than the way you assess the skin, and there are different needs. For example, I would look into the tones and undertones in the eye area, and then identify what value I want to use to conceal. Never, 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 never use a concealer as a highlighter. And very, very, very few people are quite lucky to get away with this trick where they use one product, it conceals and highlights, and they call it a day. But a highlighter is so light in value that doesn't have the capacity to camouflage and hide something that's darker from itself. So it's kind of like wearing black underwear and white pants. You're always going to see those black underwear. It's a 2-step process. If you want to highlight, is a separate process, right? Concealing is one thing, highlighting is another. So it's definitely a split. Conceal first, then highlight. I hope that rounded it up. Let's look at the demos. Welcome guys to this self-demo. I don't attempt many of the self-demos, so this is going to be a special one because I rarely do self-demos. Okay, so we're swatching for foundations and concealers here. I'm gonna start, I've already moisturized my skin and I've cleaned it. Check out my new palette. I'm gonna start with testing, this is 2-1P, the ordinary, and then 2 neutral. And then I've got a 3R Yeah, 3R, that's right. So those are the closest match, I would say. I'm gonna go ahead and test. You can see I'm breaking out, but I'm gonna test right on the neck. So we're gonna start off backwards. This is the 3R. And I'm going in with a deliberate swatch. A neutral. And then, see, I'm kind of using one side. I'm not mixing colors. And a fresh Q-tip for the third swatch. Oops, okay. I'm gonna leave it to dry. It needs a minute or two to dry, and we'll come back to that. In the meantime, let's look at our concealer. For the concealer, you can see the dark circles. Let me get the light sorted. Oh, that's better. There you go. Okay, so you can actually see quite well where all right, I'm going to start with a MAC concealer. This is NW, and it's a warmer tone. Put a little bit more. I'm going to try a cooler tone from MAC. And I'm going to try the foundation from The Ordinary, but the warmer one. So this is the 3R. Can you see how the redder one neutralizes a lot of the green-blue undertone? That's because although this is the darker one here, it's the same one, but you could see that actually it works very well under my eye. I like that one better than this one or this one. So that's kind of defined my color for the concealer and for the foundation. I'm gonna start with my concealer first, and I'm not for myself, I don't usually wear skin, like coverage on my skin. Sometimes I wear concealer when needed. Actually, rarely I wear concealer. All right, but for this demo, I may just do concealer and skin, both. Okay, gotcha. One of my favorite tools. And I like to start literally in the corner and drag that product down. See that? Whatever's left on my brush, I would sweep over. And I would avoid going very close to the lash line, because for guys, the last thing you want to do is create an even flat skin tone. It looks like it's fake. So I kind of want to keep some of this redness, that raw skin, coming through. Whatever's left on my brush, however, I will just like sweep it across. But the darkest color, or the most color intensity, really lands on the dark circles. Whatever is left on the brush gets swept across. Okay, just gonna do a little bit more blending. There, you can see the difference between the two eyes. This is a clean brush, nothing's loaded on it. Okay, I'm ready for the next eye. Same brush. So the strongest color goes right in the dark circle. There we go. Whatever's left on my brush just gets swept across the remaining surface area. And I avoid, again, going close to the lash line. Even for girls, by the way, you never want to kind of like bring in the concealer all the way to the end or to the waterline, because then it looks so flat and it looks so weird. Okay. This eye has a little bit more coverage. I kind of like this eye better than this eye, but I'm going to actually add coverage just for the sake of the video. Okay. And I'm not worried about the, you know, the dual colors, because as I move to foundation, which is now, everything's gonna blend together. And for my foundation, I'm just using the neutral one. The one that blends in the most, which is the last one. And it takes away all that redness, and I literally just apply it to the center of the face. And I personally don't need coverage anyways. Like, the only discoloration I have would be around here where it's like a little bit too red, but that's it. However, I do need like texture enhancers as we go into the skin, which is the next chapter. We will discuss in detail the different skin conditions, skin types, and so on, including pigmentation and texture and all of that. All right, let's just bring that in. Whatever's left on my palette, I'm just taking some of that red away. And I love these foundation for myself because they're so lightweight. And they're very like loaded on pigment, so they'll do the coverage with not a lot of product. You could build them right here. It will work better with an eyeliner brush or a Q-tip for a very strategic camouflager application. Okay, so yes, this is basically what the skin looks like. And I'm just gonna keep on blending a little bit more until I'm happy with how invisible I can make it look. What was I gonna say? Okay, when the makeup sits in for 15 more minutes and you look at my skin, it looks even more natural because the oils of the face start to make it a second skin, and it looks even more natural. But yeah, that's basically it. Amazing how that red on my dark circle, the red, you know, remember this darker color? That's what we used around the eye. And look how natural it looks, but look how off it looks on my neck. It's incredible, eh? The reason why it looks so red here, because that red doesn't have any pigment underneath it or above it to kill the redness or to desaturate it. The reason why it doesn't look red here is because all that green behind it just neutralizes all that intensity. So if there's nothing to neutralize, that red is still gonna fire at you. But here, the red is canceled out with the green, so you've got nothing showing. I'm just gonna blend that off. All right, guys. Thanks. See ya.